In today's lesson, we will be multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So let's take a look at our first problem up here. And here we have no addition signs or subtraction signs, and so we can use the commutative property. Bring the 5 and the 2 next to each other. Those are called coefficients. And then count up how many x's you have on top. Looks like we only have 3 x's on top and 3 y's on top. Down below, do the same sort of thing. No coefficients here, but we do have some x's. We have 2 x's, and 2 x's make 4 x's altogether, and we have that 1 y. And so what we're going to do from this point is reduce. So take out the common factors. No coefficients to reduce, but we can take out some x's. See, these 3 x's will take away 3 x's from the bottom of the fraction, leaving us only with 1 x on the bottom. And this 1y here will take away 1y on top, leaving us with 2 y's on top. So our answer would be 10y to the second all over x. The next one, we do have addition signs, and so in order to reduce this, we'll have to factor to cancel. And so if you see a term that does not have a fraction, then go ahead and write it as a fraction. So you can write it as x squared plus 8x plus 15 over 1. And then from this point, let's factor. So I'll take this trinomial and factor it as 2 binomials. So the factored form is going to be x plus 5 and an x plus 3. And then we also have this 4 on top of the fraction. Down below, well, here we have common factors of 2 between these two terms. So that's what I'm going to pull out. And when I do that division of 2, I'm left with an x plus 3. And at this point, we can do some reducing. So you see how this 2 goes into this 4 2 times. X plus 3 is going to cancel out this x plus 3. So we only have material left on top of this fraction. So we've got a 2 times by x plus 5. So you could write it this way, or you could multiply that out and get 2x plus 10. Either way is good for me. Same sort of thing on this next one. Take out common factors. Always look for those first. Just because it's an n squared doesn't mean that it's going to factor as 2 binomials. So you always have to look for common factors, and I saw 6n went into those two terms. So what's left over when I do the division? Well, an n plus 3 is what we'd have. Continue on the top of the fraction. So n squared minus 9. Now this does factor as 2 binomials. Because you don't see common factors, it's a difference of squares, so it's going to factor as n minus 1, n plus 1. Down below, n squared plus 9n plus 8. No common factors, so it does factor as 2 binomials, though. N plus 8 and an n plus 1. Here you take out a common factor of 2, so put the 2 on the outside, do the division, and see what's left over. N minus 3 is what we'd have. And so we can go ahead and do some reducing at this stage. And so I see that the 2 goes into the 6 3 times. And I see that the n plus 1 here will cancel out this n plus 1. But that's it. That's all I have left over. So what we have is a 3 times by n plus 3 times by an n minus 1. Down below we'd have an n plus 8 multiplied by an n minus 3. Now if you multiplied that stuff out, you could do that and come up with an answer. And so let's see if I do that real quick. I know I've got 3 on the outside. It's an n squared plus 2n. The outside and inside terms are going to subtract to make 2. And then a plus, or actually a minus 3. And then down below we'd have that n squared plus 5n. Outside and inside terms would subtract to make 5. And then minus 24. Then you'd still have to multiply out the numerator, and you'd end up with this 3n squared plus 6n minus 9. Down below you'd have the n squared plus the 5n minus the 24. So you could multiply it out, you could leave it in the factored form. Either of these answers would be fine. Taking a look at our next one, we've got 2 trinomials on top of the 2 fractions that we're trying to multiply. So let's go ahead and factor them. I don't see common factors, so I'm just going to factor them. And instead of n, we have an x this time. So x plus 1 and an x plus 1 are the 2 factors there. And then the next one's going to end up being an x minus 7 and an x minus 1. They had to be the same sign because they multiply to make a positive, and they had to make 8, so 7 and 1 work. Next one's going to be an x minus 7 and an x plus 7. Difference of 2 squares factors to a sum and a difference. Next one's x minus 1 and x plus 1. Same thing. Difference of 2 squares factors to a sum and a difference. So now we go ahead and cancel out the common factors. X minus 7 cancels, x minus 1, and 1 of the x plus 1s. So what do we have left over? Well, we got that x plus 1 on top. Down below, we got that x plus 7. That is our answer. So taking a look at our next problem here. X squared minus 9, but this time it's a division sign. So see, I'm going to change this to multiplication and then take the reciprocal. So really 16x is going to go on top of the fraction. So let's go ahead and factor as we go. Difference of squares factors to a sum and a difference. X minus 3x plus 3. But the 16x is going on top of the fraction. Down below, we've got that trinomial, no common factors, but it does factor as 2x plus 3's. The numbers need to multiply to make a positive 9 and add to make positive 6. Now, there's a common factor between these terms, and 4x is that number that you're going to pull out first. So put the 4x on the outside, and then do the division. You've got an x minus 3 left over. So at this point, we can go ahead and take out those common factors. X plus 3's, those cancel out. One of the x minus 3's do, and 4 goes into 16 4 times, and the x disappears. So what do we have left over? Well, 4's on top of the fraction. It looks like an x plus 3 on the bottom of the fraction. That is our answer. Same sort of thing on this next one. We have a 6x we can take out, just like we took out that 6n in that third problem that we did. So put that on the outside of the parenthesis. Do the division, you got x plus 3. But this is a division problem, so you're going to change it to multiplying, and you're going to take the reciprocal of that second fraction. So this x squared plus 4x plus 3 is going to be factored and put on the top of the fraction. So what we've got is an x plus 3 on top, and an x plus 1 as well. Now we take a look at this one here, 12x squared. So we're going to take out a 12x squared is the common factor. And what we have left over when we do that division is just an x and a 1. Common mistake is people will forget to put that 1 there. And if you did not put that 1, it wouldn't multiply back to make that same expression. So you got to do that. X squared minus 9 factors to an x plus 3 and an x minus 3. And then you go ahead and just take out those common factors. So what do we have here? Looks like an x plus 3 is going to cancel. X plus 1. And the 6 goes into 12 2 times. This x will take away one of the x's on top. So what do we have left over? Looks like an x plus 3 on top. Down below, we got a 2 and an x. And an x minus 3. So you can see the answer this way. Or you could end up seeing it this way. X plus 3 over 2x squared minus 6x. Either way would be fine. Well, those are the types of problems you'll see on tonight's homework. Good luck.